people would call Stephanie Voelkle.
Ms. Voelkle, before you sit down, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty for perjury?
Yes.
I need you to say it louder than that, please.
Yes.
Okay, you can go ahead and have a seat. Please try to keep your voice up as much as possible so that everyone in the courtroom can hear you.
Can you please state your full name and spell it for the record?
Stephanie Voelkle, Stephanie Voelkle.
All right. Stephanie, did you know Dee Warner?
Yes,
And how long had you known Dee?
5 years.
And that was prior to 2021?
Correct.
All right. How did you know Dee?
I started working for her in June of 2016.
Okay. And when you say working for her, what did you do for her?
I did accounts payable, accounts receivable, billed out for DDW, the trucking company, received in money.
Okay. So you worked there on the Munger farm?
Correct.
And describe your relationship with Dee.
We gradually became best friends. We went shopping together, went on a cruise together, spent a lot of time together, including in the office.
Okay. Did you spend time with Dale at the office?
Not much.
Okay. How would you describe your relationship with Dale?
Just business
Okay. How often do you think you talked to Dee?
every day.
How did you talk to her?
In the office, face to face, over text.
Okay. When you say in the office, what's a typical day look like? 8 to 5, 9 to 4?
Usually it was 9 to 5.
Okay. And would Dee be in the office most days or?
Yeah, pretty much every day.
Okay. Describe Dee to me, if you could describe her to somebody.
Feisty, fierce, beautiful heart. Always looked like $1,000,000. Always wearing the glitz and glam.
Okay. When you said always looking like $1,000,000, what does that mean?
She was always wearing something fancy,
Okay.
jewelry, everything, the whole 9 yards.
Did she have her hair done?
Always, yes.
And the office was on the same property that her dwelling was on, correct?
Correct.
And did she ever come down to the office in her pajamas?
In her pajamas? No.
Okay. Do you know what vehicle or vehicles that Dee drove?
Cadillac and a Hummer.
And which one did she drive more?
Cadillac.
And was there a time that you, Dee took the Hummer to a mechanic that you know of?
She took it to the shop quite often, yeah, when it needed it to be serviced. Mhm.
Okay. Was there ever a time when she came back from the mechanic and appeared to be upset?
Yes.
Okay. And did she show you anything at that time?
I can't remember if it was that day or the next day she had shown me something, yes, that the shop had found, yes.
Okay. And how did that item appear to you? What did it look like?
It was like a little black box.
Did you ever see Dee with a second phone that was supposed to be a secret phone?
I did not.
Did you also hang out with Dee on weekends?
Yes.
How often would you hang out with her on a weekend?
Maybe once a month, twice a month.
When you've been around her, did you observe her to be under the influence of drugs or anything that
No.
would cause you concern?
No.
Okay. Did you go to lunches or dinners with Dee?
Yes.
Okay. Did anything out of the ordinary happen on some occasions?
Yeah, I remember a specific time where we were at Evans Street Station, and Dale drove by in his truck when we were sitting there eating dinner.
Okay. Did that only happen once?
I'm pretty sure it happened a few times. I just can't remember those times.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would move to strike the response. If the witness doesn't remember, then it would be speculation.
I agree, Your Honor.
All right, so I will sustain that objection and strike that answer.
Do you remember going to any lunches with Dee, and having anybody show up?
No, just phone calls from Dale asking where she was a lot when we went out to lunch.
Okay. So, you talked to Dee in person, you talked to her over text. Any other ways you communicated with her?
Snapchat.
Okay, what is Snapchat?
It's an app that you can communicate back and forth on, and you can send pictures on.
Okay, and if I want to see your Snapchats between you and anybody, can I do that?
No, because they automatically delete.
Okay, so is that a function of that particular app?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have the opportunity to observe fighting between Dee and Dale?
Yes.
All right. Yelling and screaming, or what?
Yes.
All right, so tell me about some of those fights.
There was one in particular that I remember. He came and they were both in the office, and they went into the lunchroom, and they were arguing. I could hear him yelling, both of them. I couldn't tell you what it was about.
Okay. And were there any other arguments that really stood out to you?
Yes, I was in the office, and Dale walked in and said, "You," and pointed at Dee, "out here now." And she came around the desk and went outside, and they were face to face, yelling at each other, fighting about something. I couldn't tell you what.
Okay, and what did you observe him to look like?
He was yelling at her with his hands behind his back,
Okay. And how far away is he from Dee?
like maybe a foot, 2.
All right. And is he standing straight up? Is he leaning in? What's he doing?
He's leaning in,
Okay, and what was Dee doing?
standing there, defending herself, basically, with her words.
Okay. Do you know what most of their fights were about?
I want to say money, usually,
Objection. If it's based on personal knowledge or not, I think that clarification needs to be made.
Did you hear the arguments between Dee and Dale, what the topics were about?
I did, yes. I
Okay.
just don't remember specifics. I just remember abroad, like money, or his kid, usually his kids or his dad.
Okay,
Usually
so,
was the argument.
okay. So I don't want specific details, I just want to know what the broad topics are. So, they fought a lot about money and kids and what was the last thing, I'm sorry?
His dad.
Okay, all right. When they would fight, did you ever observe Dale try to touch Dee or otherwise massage her neck?
Usually it was after an argument.
Okay,
It's like they would get into an argument, he would come back in and massage her shoulders.
okay, and how did she react to that?
Uncomfortable.
When you say uncomfortable, can you describe that for the jury?
Sometimes she would say, "Dale," like, like shrug her shoulders, kind of like, "Get off me."
Okay. Tell me about Dee's size. How tall is she? About how much does she weigh?
Maybe 5'1", 5'2", like 100, I don't know, 40 pounds.
Okay, and that's just a guess on your part, an estimate, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you and Dee talk about personal things a lot?
Yeah, all the time.
Was it uncommon for Dee to talk to you about wanting a divorce?
No.
All right, and had she had that topic of conversation come up on April 24th, 2021?
She said that she told Dale that she wanted to sell everything.
Okay, and what time were you talking to Dee on the 24th?
Around like 11 o'clock.
Okay. And is that phone call, text message? How are you guys having a conversation?
Text message.
All right. So you guys wrap up the conversation about selling things, and do you reach out to her again that night?
Yeah.
Do you remember what time?
Around 7. I reached out to her to see how she was doing.
Okay. Was that via text, phone call? How was that?
Text message.
Did you get any response?
No.
All right. When was the last time you saw Dee in person?
Friday afternoon.
Okay, and where was that at?
At the office.
All right, and how did she appear then?
She was nervous, stressed out, preparing herself to talk to Todd. She was going to have a conversation with Todd,
Okay, and who's Todd?
the dispatcher for DDW.
Okay, what's Todd's last name?
Nyrick.
And did Todd work for Dee?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
Okay, and what was his position at DDW?
a dispatcher.
So what does that mean, though? I'm sorry.
It's okay. He scheduled all the truckloads, and I guess that would be it.
Okay, and who would be his direct boss?
Dee and Dale.
Okay. Do you know if the disagreement was about business?
Yes.
Okay. And what was Todd's demeanor like?
He was perturbed, mad.
Was he not in agreement with what Dee wanted?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so then on the 24th, you have a conversation with her. She doesn't respond back after 7:30 p.m. Were you concerned at that point?
Yes.
Why?
Because I knew they were arguing, fighting, and I didn't trust.
Well, let me ask you this. You talk to Dee how often?
Every day.
Okay, if you text her, does she respond?
Yes.
All right, if
Immediately.
you call her, does she call back?
Yes.
All right, is there ever a delay in response from her other than, a couple minutes here or a couple minutes there?
Not very often. She always had her phone.
So on April 25th, 2021, that Sunday morning, Raquel calls you.
Yeah.
Do you know approximately what time it was?
Like 10:30.
Okay. And what'd she call you for?
She called me and asked me if I knew where Dee was.
All right. And did you know where Dee was?
I did not.
Had you heard from her at all since your previous night's text?
No.
Okay. What'd you do after Raquel called you?
I called Dale
Okay. Why'd you call Dale?
because I wanted to know where Dee was.
All right. Did you get a hold of Dale?
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
He told me that they had a fight last night and that she was all pissed off at him. And the last time that I seen her was on the couch this morning at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Did he go into detail about the fight?
No.
All right. Did you go to the Munger property on the 25th of April 2021?
I did not.
Okay. When's the next time you go to the Munger property?
I believe it was Monday or Tuesday.
Is that to go back to work?
Correct.
Okay. Is Dee there?
No.
All right. Do you have a conversation with Dale when you return to work?
Yes.
All right. And what do you guys talk about?
Well, he came in and sat next to me and asked me if I knew who would pick him up, or I'm sorry, if I knew who would pick Dee up without saying anything.
Okay. What'd you say?
I just said I don't know.
Okay. Did Dale have a conversation with you about Dee having some kind of medical appointment or blood work?
Yeah, that was on Sunday.
Okay, tell me about that.
He had called me and asked me if I knew that she was supposed to have a blood test, and that she was acting strange the night before.
Okay,
And I just said, I have no idea.
okay. Did he follow up with that conversation during the week when you went back in?
Yes.
Okay, and what did he say to you at that
He
point?
asked me, did you think anything more about the blood test thing? And I just said, no, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that information.
Okay, and did you tell him that?
Yeah.
You don't, okay. Did he give you any more details during that week about the fight between him and Dee or the events of the night of the 24th of April?
Yeah, it was when he sat down in the chair next to me. I vaguely remember he said something about that she had a headache that night and he rubbed her shoulders or rubbed her neck on the couch, and then she had took something for her migraine or something, and that's really all I remember.
Okay. How long did you stay working at for the Warners?
Until June, June of 2021.
Okay. Have you talked to Dee at all since April 24th, 2021?
No,
Have you seen her since April 23rd, 2021?
no.
Why did you have to think about it? Were you thinking about the dates back that far?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you one last question about Dee's wedding ring. During the course of your friendship, relationship, working there, did you have the opportunity to observe that ring?
Yes.
All right, describe it.
Big, shiny.
Okay. When you say big, are you talking like big, like?
A big rock.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Did you ever see Dee take that ring off?
No.
Okay. When you describe Dee as being very flashy and getting liking the jewelry and stuff like that, what type of jewelry was she buying?
Not cheap jewelry.
Okay. Diamonds?
Yeah.
Expensive?
Yes.
Okay. And based on your knowledge of her, do you see her leaving that ring anywhere?
No.
Objection. Speculation.
Sustained. And I would strike that remark and direct the jury not to consider it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Voelkle. My name is Mary Chartier. I have some questions for you this afternoon. I want to start with the Hummer. You said the Hummer used to have to go to the shop pretty frequently? So you have to answer verbally for the record.
Yes.
And do you know how frequent is frequent?
Like maintenance trips, basically, or if something broke down.
So if we're looking at a year, how many times a year?
2 or 3.
You said that there was a box or a device found, and Ms. Warner came back and showed that to you?
Yes.
And so she came back from the shop and showed you that device?
I don't know. That's fuzzy to me. I don't know if I can't remember if it was that day or the next day.
So it might have been when she came back from getting the Hummer work done or the next day?
Correct.
She showed that device to you?
Correct.
Did she ask you what it was?
We kind of already had an idea of what it was because we found it, yeah.
Well, how would you have an idea? So she shows you the device. How would you have an idea at that time?
Because I found a charge on the credit card and we investigated it on Google.
So you found a charge on a credit card, and then you thought that was this device. Is that
Correct.
accurate?
Correct.
Then what happened to that device? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I want to go to April 23rd, 2021. This was a day you were working in the office,
Yes.
and you had indicated that Ms. Warner had a verbal disagreement with a gentleman named Todd Nayrink.
Correct.
Now, could you hear what the conversation or disagreement was about?
No.
Could you hear raised voices?
Yes.
Could you hear Mr. Nayrink's voice raised?
Correct.
And did you hear Ms. Warner's voice raised?
Yes.
So the two of them were raising their voices to each other.
Correct.
Was that unusual for Ms. Warner to raise her voice at a staff member?
Not really.
Now, so you'd heard her raise her voice before to people who worked for her.
Correct.
And did you hear her ever raise her voice to family members?
No. I don't
What-
believe so.
What about to Mr. Warner?
Oh, yes.
So you heard her raise her
Yes,
voice
yes,
to him?
yes.
Now, when this conversation was over, did Ms. Warner, the one with Mr. Nayrink, did Ms. Warner come back and go back to work?
I'm not sure because I believe I left
Did you?
before they were done.
Okay. So when you left, you think that Ms. Warner was still in a disagreement with or conversation with Mr. Nayrink?
Yes.
Is it possible that you did see her before you left and she seemed happy to you?
It's a possibility that I did see her, but I don't remember her state of,
Would looking at a statement that you gave refresh your memory?
yes. Where am I looking?
If you could turn to page 393. The first sentence of the last paragraph. We're actually moving into the second sentence as well.
The last paragraph?
Yes. Do you see that?
The second sentence.
Do you want me to come up and show you where, or do you want to show her?
Yes,
Ms. Saylor?
please. Yes,
You-
yes,
okay.
please.
I'll show you, or unless you know.
You show me, I'll show her.
Okay, here you go, right here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That indicates that you did see her that day, correct?
Yeah.
So after her verbal disagreement with Todd Nayrink, you may want to leave that up there for her, Ms. Saylor, because we might need it again. You're too efficient. You're too efficient. So after Ms. Warner had her verbal disagreement with Mr. Nayrink, you saw her again before you left, correct?
Okay, yes.
And she seemed happy when you left, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what that says, correct?
Okay, yes.
Now, the next day, you had texted with Ms. Warner. You indicated in the morning, roughly around 11 a.m.?
Yes.
That's on April 24th, 2021.
Correct.
And that's a Saturday, correct?
Yes.
And she had indicated she was having a rough day.
Yes.
Now, the basic topic of conversation related to the Nayrinks, Todd and Terry Nayrink, correct?
Yes.
And she had indicated that she was hyperventilating
Yes.
and she was throwing up, correct?
Yes.
Now, you also said that she had told you that she had communicated with Mr. Warner that she wanted to sell everything.
Correct.
The last text that you had with Ms. Warner was when you sent it roughly at 7:43 p.m.?
Yes.
The next day, April 25th, 2021, that was the day that you communicated with Mr. Warner. That was the Sunday.
Correct.
And he indicated to you that Ms. Warner was upset with him the
Yes.
night before, correct?
Yes.
And the two of them had an argument.
Yes.
Now, the next week when you go into work, you indicated that Mr. Warner had asked you some questions about possible blood tests that Ms. Warner had had
Yes.
and who might pick her up from the Munger property, correct?
Yes.
He also asked you if you knew anything about Ms. Warner going to Traverse City.
Yes.
You indicated again that he had later on in the week told you that they had had an argument, correct?
Yes.
Now, while you knew Ms. Warner for the years that you did, she would talk about leaving Mr. Warner, correct?
Yes.
So that was not new for her.
No.
And even with Ms. Warner saying over the years she was going to leave Mr. Warner, you actually would book vacations for them, correct?
Correct.
So if we look at April 24th and 25th, 2021, in the upcoming months, in 2021 and in 2022, you had actually booked vacations for Mr. Warner, Ms. Warner, and their daughter Angelina, right?
Yes.
And you had booked, I think, 2 in 2021
Yes.
and 4 in 2022.
Sounds about right.
And one of them was actually just for the two of them, Mr. and Mrs. Warner, to go away together alone, correct?
Yes.
And those were Ms. Warner initiating that with you, right?
Yes.
Mr. Warner wasn't asking you to book any vacations.
No.
You indicated about this you outside now argument that you witnessed, right?
Yes.
When was that? Do you recall?
Maybe within like the last 6 months of her disappearing.
So somewhere from maybe October, November 2020 through April 2021?
Correct.
They both were raising their voices at each other, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Warner did not physically touch Ms. Warner.
No.
Not when he asked her to come outside. He didn't touch her, bring her outside, anything like that, correct?
No.
And when the two of them were outside, and you were looking out the window, correct?
Yes.
And so no one touched the other, right?
Correct.
And you would, the lunchroom incident where you heard the two of them arguing, do you know when that was?
Again, same answer.
So
6
roughly
months probably.
6 months before. When you would see the two of them verbally disagree, it was only verbal, correct?
Yes.
Ms. Warner would argue back with Mr. Warner, right? She wouldn't just sit there meekly and take somebody disagreeing with her.
Correct.
And with everything that you saw, you'd agree you never saw Mr. Warner get emotional, correct?
Correct.
You indicated that Mr. Warner would sometimes try to rub Ms. Warner's shoulders after an argument.
Yeah.
You saw Mr. Warner regularly rub Ms. Warner's shoulders or back throughout the course of your employment, right?
No.
Would you look at page 394 and 395? I believe it is the same binder that you have up there, so if you look at the bottom.
Well, yes, like after a fight, yes, but not like a normal.
So let me just, so you read that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you were interviewed by the FBI, right?
Correct.
And you indicated that Mr. Warner would regularly rub Ms. Warner's shoulders or back, right?
Usually it was after a fight, though. I
Okay,
might have left
doesn't say
out.
that though, does it?
No, but that's what
But,
I'm gonna
but
object, she didn't author the FBI's report.
I didn't say she did author the FBI report. I didn't think she was an FBI agent, but I can ask her what is in the report.
All right. She can ask her what is in the report, so I will overrule the objection.
Thank you. So I want to just go back, right? So in this, it indicated, and you agree, that you would regularly see Mr. Warner rub Ms. Warner's shoulders or back, and he often did so in the office, correct?
Yes.
And there's nothing in here about it only being after an argument or anything like that, right?
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
You agree? And there's nothing in there about her trying to shrug him off, anything like that, correct? You'd agree it doesn't say that?
In that statement, no.
Thank you. And that's what I'm asking about. And that statement, just so we're clear, was January 12th, 2022. Right?
Yes.
I have nothing additional. Thank you.
You indicated that, well, let me show you Exhibit 28. Is that the device that Dee showed you?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated that there was some charge on a credit card, and that's kind of what kicked us off looking for this device, is that?
Correct.
All right. Whose credit card was this?
Dale's.
Okay. You talked about Dee, it was common for Dee to talk about divorce throughout their marriage. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Was there a time that you noticed a difference in Dee, in her demeanor and attitude towards the marriage?
Most likely after the dresser incident.
I'm gonna ask you to, what year are you talking about?
So she.
I don't want you to give me any details about anything else. I just want you to give me a time frame that you're talking about, when this would have happened.
January, December or January.
Okay.
January of 2021.
Okay, so December of 2020 or January of 2021?
Correct.
Okay, you noticed the change in Dee?
Yeah. More progressively went down, yeah, from that point.
You testified on cross-examination that when Dale pulled Dee outside and they were arguing, that you went to the window to watch.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Because of the history of how he was.
Okay. Do you recall what time you began texting Dee on April 24th, 2021?
Began,
Yes.
I think she texted me first, but it was around 11, I thought.
Okay, so earlier in the day.
Yeah,
And then your last message,
7.
7 something, okay. All right.
Oh,
While you were working with Dee, within that 6 months before she went missing, did Dee bring you outside of the office to have a conversation with you? I don't want to know what she said, but did she bring you outside the office to have a conversation with you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, hold on. Do you remember Dee showing you anything on her body?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Do you know when that was?
Like January or December, yes.
Okay. And what did you observe?
She showed me a goose egg on her head. So
Where was it at?
It was under her hair part.
All right. So did she have to pull her hair up to show you?
Correct.
And can you describe that? I know you said a goose egg, but just describe what you mean.
Just like a raised bump on her head, probably the size of maybe a little bigger than a quarter.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Ms. Voelkle, who paid the Warner's credit cards? Was it you indicated?
Paid the Warner's credit card.
Sure. So you said that you saw a charge on Mr. Warner's credit card. Who would be responsible for paying the credit card bill? Was that you? Was that Mr. Bach?
That was Zach, yes. Mr.
So,
Bach.
okay, so he was responsible for paying invoices, paying bills, things like that?
Yes.
And so you
I
seemed
did
a little
some of it as
hesitant,
well.
but okay.
Well, I mean, I did some of it as well, so
Okay,
yes.
so he might be the primary person responsible, but you would pitch in, is that accurate? Or
Correct.
the two of you shared responsibilities?
Yeah, like Dee would leave bills on my desk to pay.
Things like credit card, car payment, things like that?
Yeah, I don't remember paying the credit card. I think that was always Zach. But I paid the bills, yes.
So if Mr. Bach was paying the credit card, how would you see the charge on it?
Because I reconciled it.
You reconciled it. So you would see, for instance, the credit card statement and then what the purchases were for?
Correct.
So is that essentially like a bookkeeping function to know what business to charge certain things to?
Yeah, she had me watch it because the drivers would charge things that they weren't supposed to, so I would have to raise a flag and let her know.
So Mr. Bach essentially would pay the bills in general, and I know you would, but then you would do the reconciling of the statements to see what items might be personal but put on by mistake, or what items might be business related.
Correct.
Great. No further questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Nothing further, Your Honor. She can be excused.
No, not yet, ma'am. We've got a few questions here. If counsel could approach, we can. Okay, so a few questions that we have from the jurors. The first, Ms. Voelkle, is did Dee ever text you from a different phone number?
No.
The second is, how was it determined the charge was for think it says this device.
The name matched what was on the device, on the credit card.
Okay. And the last is, did Dee ever mention side effects from COVID?
No.
Okay. Any further questions, Ms. Wise, based on those three?
Yes, I just want to briefly touch on the COVID. Do you remember Dee getting COVID in 2021?
Yes,
When did she get COVID?
it was in April, the beginning of April.
Did you get a chance to observe how it affected her?
When she had it, yes.
All right, tell me about it.
She was lying in bed for like 2 weeks because she could barely breathe. She was all stuffed up.
Okay, did she come to the office at all?
No.
All right. Did you see her after she had COVID?
Yes.
And tell me about her personality after COVID.
She seemed fine.
Okay,
Back to normal.
Okay. You didn't feel like it changed her?
No.
Okay. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Nothing additional, thank you.
Okay, and may Ms. Voelkle then be excused from her subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. So you are free to leave, or if you'd like to stay in the courtroom, you're welcome to do that.